Hand. I'm the author of Spiritual Adrenaline, a lifestyle plan to strengthen and nourish your recovery. And I'm honored to be here today with Bryce Cobb III. Bryce is affiliated with an organization called Detroit Recovery Project. Bryce is their youth mentor, peer recovery mentor, and also director of social media for the organization. Bryce, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate you coming out.
Thanks, Tyler, for having me.
You're also someone who's in recovery, I should mention. Your sobriety date was July 27th of 2013, so you'll have 7 years. Congratulations on that. As someone in recovery, I applaud you. I know it's not easy, so congratulations on congratulations on that.
It's a rough road, but it's worth it.
You can't keep what you have without giving it away. So tell me a little bit about how the Detroit Recovery Project is helping you keep what you have and how you share that gift.
Well, the Detroit Recovery Project is a nonprofit in the city of Detroit, with locations on the east and the west, delivering peer recovery support services as well as services to add to the holistic approach of recovery in general.
Mhm.
The things that Detroit Recovery Project offer is, everything from providing people in recovery or in need of one peer recovery mentor, as well as different services like yoga or everything from learning how to buy groceries and different classes at nutrition and everything that goes into recovery, because I'm pretty sure, as you would know, being in recovery as well as me, it's not just the substances ending. Like, once the substances is done, it's a whole there's a whole broad spectrum of what it means to be in recovery. So we hope to be able to offer support for all those pieces and all those aspects in somebody's life.
I agree with you. And, you know, uh, I talk a lot and I blog about the importance of exercise and nutrition into a recovery program. So, as someone who's in recovery and working for an organization that also promotes those kinds of lifestyle behaviors as part of an overall addiction approach to recovery, what's the value of yoga? What's the value of eating right?
Um, well, I mean, in my personal recovery, what it comes down to is how we treat ourselves is what ends up being the predominant factor of our lives. So if I put pumping a whole bunch of bull crap in my body, like, I'm going to feel that. And because I feel that, like, it's going to cause for sluggishness, and for me, I'm a spiritual person. Like, that can kind of weigh on my spiritual. So it's like, as above, so below, as within, so without. So it's like I said, a holistic approach. Everything is kind of included in this thing for me.
I mean, for me, that's what worked. I tried it the other ways, and it didn't work. You also have a program called the Recovery Training Institute. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the Recovery Training Institute of Detroit Recovery Project just seeks to pull people out of the community of recovery in Detroit to be able to equip them to be certified peer recovery mentors. We
Mhm.
take them in and we get them the training. It's a free program. We take them in and give them the training, and then also allow them to be development planees at Detroit Recovery Project as they're getting the required hours that it takes to be a certified peer recovery mentor and take your test.
Mhm.
So you're able to come in and make some money at the same time while you're getting your required hours that it takes to be a certified peer recovery mentor.
And learning those really positive habits that go along with living sober as well, that you mentioned earlier. So, up until now, we're in a very difficult time for so many people with coronavirus and what's happening in shelter at home. How has the current environment and the safety concerns and health concerns impacted the work of the Detroit Recovery Project?
Well, a lot of the things we do is peer to peer. So at first, it was kind of and it still is kind of a shock to the system. Where it's like, and I was delivering services to a homeless shelter called Covenant House, and we weren't allowed to go in there. And then it's different rehabilitation centers have kind of shuttered their doors because they don't necessarily want people coming in and out.
Mhm.
With the spread of the virus going on, and we want to curb the virus for everybody's health. But what is end up happening is we've just had to pivot. Just recently, I got a email from our Dr. Kevin Johnson, who let us know that we've been approved to do telemed services. So, we're able to deliver telecommunications, whatever that may be, through Zoom or, FaceTime or whatever it is, to be able to deliver recovery support services to the people who need it. Because at this time, which is crazy enough, at this time is one of the most important times to make sure that we are focusing on the importance of peer recovery mentors and peer recovery in general. Because there's a lot of people that even like a lot of people first get into recovery by just going to a meeting or something like that, or just, walking in. And right now that's not available for them. So, to be able to still have those services and to be able to have those services available, I think is very important, especially right now.
What are you hearing from the actual constituents or other clients that you're working with, as far as what are their biggest concerns about where we're at and how that's going to impact them in the future? And then what's your advice to them, I guess, as well?
It's just a lot of fear and anxiety, as I'm sure, as a whole, as a country, as a globe, as a human race, we've kind of experienced not necessarily knowing when the end of something is. We don't have you could ask anybody, where's the finish line to this thing, but nobody can necessarily tell us where that is. So, just a lot of fear and anxiety and uncertainty. And but at the end of the day, at least what I've been taught through my recovery is one day at a time. So to do the best that we can today, and do the best that we can today, and when tomorrow comes, we'll get there.
Okay, and so are you offering virtual peer support? Are you offering any other programs virtually for the constituents, both in the city of Detroit, but you also serve the Wayne County area? So that, that's a large area. Is there anything
Wayne County.
Yeah, that people can check out and maybe participate in?
Well, you can contact us, and we can still do telemed services. We can still get you enrolled in the Recovery is Yours program, which allows basically for us to get you a certified peer recovery mentor and to be able to have somebody to walk through your recovery with. But also, we offer a lot of free programs. Just if you were to plug into our social media, such as weekly yoga. We go live on our Facebook live and do yoga. Lauren does that. We do.
That's really important, actually, and I saw that on your social media feed. So your social media feed is Recovery for Detroit, correct?
At Recovery #4 Detroit. Yeah,
Right,
that's our social media.
#4 Detroit. So let's talk a little bit about those services. I was impressed how quickly y'all were able to get online and offer those services virtually. And I think also, like we talk about a day at a time, taking a breath right now is a big deal, right? Just slowing that brain down, and yoga is such an effective mechanism to do it. So let's just talk about what time, what specific programs you have available, so that people that are watching this might be able to take advantage of what you're offering.
Tuesdays, every Tuesday at 12 is when we go live on Facebook to do the yogas. And we also have a smoking cessation program coming up. I believe it starts on May 7th, I believe. And that's like for people who are looking to, quit smoking cigarettes. We're going to have a virtual group where they meet a few times and kind of get together, because studies have shown that people who quit together stick it in.
Let me say, I smoked for 24 years. It took me years of being in sobriety to be able to give it up. And what made it work for me were nicotine anonymous meetings.
Wow.
I got to sit next to people. That's why I'm really happy you're doing that program. When I would go week after week and sit next to somebody with an oxygen tank, who I felt for, and they'd say, they would share, I can't wait to get out of this meeting so I can have a cigarette.
Wow.
And it's killing me. And so I just think, and also in my book, I write about the statistics. The Mayo Institute, which is a very credible institution in California, did a research study on the overall death rates and what in recovery for people who identify as being in recovery. And 50% of people in recovery have passed away from some smoking-related illness.
Wow.
Smoking-related illness from the years of active addiction or continuing to smoke in recovery. So I think that's huge. When are you offering that class?
The smoking cessation class begins
And I apologize. I should have asked you that ahead of time. But people, go ahead and look it up. But this is really important. He's getting you some great information, and so they can also go to the Detroit Recovery Project website where you list a lot of the programs as well. If you can't find that, Bryce.
Yep. So the DRP Smoking Cessation Group virtually is starting Thursday, May 7th, 2020, and then it'll be Thursday, May 14th, and Thursday, May 21st. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll be able to get the meeting code on Zoom as well as the password. And it's a Facebook event too. And most of all of our events that we ever do, or all of the resources that we offer, will go to our Facebook page and be in the Facebook events. So if you want to kind of look and see and be updated with what we got going on in real time, that'll be a good resource to be able to go to.
I'm not aware of any other organizations in the recovery world that's offering a virtual program in smoking cessation right now. So
Mm,
I applaud you because I still, my body, even after 7 years of not having a cigarette, I feel it in my lungs. And it's
yeah.
so interrelated. So I will help promote that in and of itself because I just think you're doing God's work by doing it.
We'll definitely appreciate that. And like me, for me myself, I used to smoke Newport. So I smoked since I was 13, and I didn't quit until I was a year in recovery. And the way I did it was on Facebook. It was a Facebook group called Quit Smoking. And anytime I was down, I was able to kind of go in there and kind of vent and let people know how I was feeling. And there was somebody there that I could relate to, that was able to say, okay, we understand what you're going through. Or I can see somebody who's going through something worse than me, and I can see somebody who is had a couple of weeks where I have just been struggling to get 2 days, like
Yeah.
that. Like how an alcoholic helping another alcoholic, like it's the same thing. Like doing it
Exactly.
in a group, it really works.
Well, I congratulate you too. I mean, it's again like this. It's huge that you're offering those projects. So let me just try and close with what you're someone in recovery, but you're also someone who now works in the field and you're working with people. My understanding is Detroit's getting hit hard, like a
Yeah.
lot of other major cities, by the coronavirus. So you're working with people who are really on the front line of dealing with addiction and then
Hmm.
this epidemic, which is really what it is, all happening at the same time. And most of the old-fashioned recommendations, like go to a meeting, do fellowship, you can't do those things in the way we used to do them. So, based on your experience as someone both in recovery, but as someone who works in the field, what are your top suggestions for people right now that are out there and maybe they're watching this at home, they haven't done an online meeting or they're just struggling and like, why should I why should I not just go pick up? What are your recommendations?
What I've learned in my personal recovery is that recovery is cool and it's smooth when the sun is out. But when our recovery shines most is when the crazy weather comes, when the tornadoes and the tsunamis and the unexpected happens. And that's when the foundation of our recovery is tested. So it's times like these where we really have to be intentional about what are we doing on a daily basis to add to the livelihood of our recovery. Do
Mhm.
we have recovery capital? Do we have things that are adding to what our recovery is? And right now, I'm so proud of my community. We look and see there was a Facebook group that started, and it started with 300 people locally just to figure out how to get online recovery meetings. And that blossomed into something that, took into like 3,000, then 5,000 people from all over the world
Wow.
because we've had to pivot. We've had to pivot. And those who are intentional about the recovery will reap the benefits of actually seeking out what it is that it takes to be in recovery, what it is that's required for us to feed this thing, because we have to feed it.
Mhm.
So personally, I've been going to digital meetings, Zoom meetings. I've been going to more meetings than I was when we weren't doing it digitally, because I can get out the bed and just hop straight online.
Yeah,
You
anywhere,
know,
right? You can bring it right to you. So it's like,
yeah,
oh, there's no excuses.
right. There's no excuse at all. Yeah,
Tell myself.
right.
Awesome stuff. That's really awesome. You have a really positive outlook. Um, how do you maintain that with all the challenges when you turn that TV on and you
Um,
happen all around you?
Positive outlook just comes from being faithful. And this is not like, attached to any denomination or anything like that, but just for me, just like believing that things will work out, and just having faith that it'll work out, and then acting as if that thing is true. So
Mhm.
in the acting as it will work out, it's almost like I'm moving faith. So then I take the action that is required of that faith, which is, you know, okay, well, if it's going to work out, I need to be prepared in this aspect. Or
Right.
if it's going to work out, I'm pretty sure that I need to do this thing, you know. And sometimes I'm like, especially like when it comes to recovery, first for me, a lot of the things that I do now were far-fetched from when I first got here. So it's like learning to do things that are counterintuitive until they become second nature. So I may not necessarily want to go to a meeting, or I may not necessarily want to pick up the phone because it may be 100 pounds to call somebody, or I may not necessarily want to call Detroit Recovery Project and see what resources they offer digitally, or go to the Facebook page. But if I want this thing, then I have to do these things that may feel counterintuitive and do it over and over until it becomes second nature.
Well, I'll tell you, if people just watch a little portion of this interview, I hope they watch that portion. In 30 seconds, you espoused some really critical knowledge that could really help save lives. And a testament to the fact that you're out there doing this and you fundamentally believe in what you're doing, because it comes out in the way you communicate. So if people are interested in finding out more information about yoga, your smoking cessation, your peer mentor programs, or anything else at the Detroit Recovery Project, how should they go about doing that?
Most all of our events will be posted on our Facebook page. So that'll be Recovery4 Detroit on Facebook. And then our Instagram is at Recovery4 Detroit, as well as our Twitter.
Okay. And what's your website again?
The website is recovery4detroit.com.
Bryce, thank you so much. Thank Andre Johnson, who I believe is the executive director.
Yep.
Recovery Project. I wanted to come out and check it out for myself in person, and then I've got what you guys are doing because I've read about it and I've seen what you're doing on social media, and I think it's wonderful. These days, obviously, I can't get there, but I'm continuing to follow your work, and I'm just so honored to have someone like you who's on the front lines of dealing with the challenges of today here on Spiritual Adrenaline. You're welcome to come back anytime. And again, I just salute you, and I salute all of your peers and your colleagues at Detroit Recovery Project.
Thanks, Tom. And if I could take a second, I want to give a special shout out to Dr. Trent. Detroit Recovery Project, from what I hear, has been the brainchild of Dr. Trent. He was a very influential guy when it comes to the recovery community in the city of Detroit, and he just recently passed. So I want to kind of, just shout him out. He was very special to me. I meditate on this timer called Insight Timer, and it'll let you know when other people are meditating with you after you get done meditating. And I miss seeing that guy's face on the meditation timer. So I just want to shout him out.
Well, we'll keep him in our prayers, and we'll keep everybody in the city of Detroit and also with the Detroit Recovery Project in our prayers as well. Bryce, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom, for having me.